Hey guys, and welcome to this bar chord lesson. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you the 6-string major bar chord. It's going to help you tackle that awkward F chord. This shape is known as the E shape bar chord. It's real straightforward. So if you know an E, which is this, it's based from that chord. Now, if you reposition your fingers on that so that as opposed to using these 3 fingers, you're using these 3 fingers instead. So what we do is we put the 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, the little finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, and then the 2nd finger on the 1st fret of the G string. Now, the reason we do this is so that it's going to help you envision the shape of this bar chord. Now, we know that the E chord has open strings in it. However, I want you to imagine that just before the nut here, so this little plastic part, I want you to imagine that the string just before that is a fret. And I want you to imagine that that's fret 0. And I want you to lay this 1st finger across it. Now, in theory, that's what the E chord is doing. It's playing this shape. And if I move everything up by 1 fret, that's now a bar chord. This finger needs to be pushing down on all of the strings. The 1st finger needs to be pushing down on all of them. That's now a bar chord, and that is an F bar chord because F is the next note after E in the musical alphabet. So that tackles the F chord for you. And a really important part of this is, first of all, make sure that your thumb on the back of the neck is pointing upwards and not sideways, because it will cause issues if it's pointing sideways. And I'll just demonstrate this. I'm going to point sideways. What it does is it brings this part of your hand in towards the neck, which makes it really hard to get the bar, and it actually hurts a bit. If you point upwards, watch what it does with my wrist. It brings my wrist out, which is exactly what you want, because we want a nice straight barring finger with it. So wrist out so that it straightens that 1st finger out. And also with this chord, it's worth noting as well to start out with, if it's brand new to you, as opposed to putting your bar finger down first when you're practicing bar chords, put the other fingers down first. So I'd put these down and then I'd put the bar finger down. And the reason that I'd say personally do that is because if you do those first, then whilst they're down, you can focus on really getting that finger straight. So I've got it really straight now. And as opposed to pushing down like that, you can use your wrist to bring that round and push down. So you've got a real straight bar, which is good. Generally, if you put your 1st finger down first, which is fine as well, what normally ends up happening whilst you're putting the other fingers down, that 1st finger starts kind of like curling up and not pushing on all the strings. It is essential that the 1st finger is not just lying on all of the strings, but pushing on them all as well, so that all of them can ring out. Make sure that you don't just push on your tip like you would if you was playing a general chord. Let's say, for instance, a D. You just push on your tips for that. On this one, you have to apply the pressure all the way throughout that barring finger. Have fun with that and try mixing it in with some normal chords as well, because one of the tricky parts of getting the E-shaped bar chord is that switching between chords at first can feel a little bit tricky. A great chord to switch from is a C chord. Try switching from that C chord to the F chord without moving your 3rd finger. So you're only moving the other ones because they're fairly relative chords. And it'll get you used to putting these fingers down first as opposed to putting the 1st finger down first. So. create a little strumming pattern if you want. Now let me explain the theory of how you can actually play any major bar chord as long as you know that shape. If you take that shape and I moved it all up by 1 fret, that would still be a major chord. If I moved it up by another fret, that would still be a major chord. It would just be a different named major chord. So here is an F because this very lowest note, the deepest note, is an F note. If I move up by a fret, the next note in the musical alphabet is F sharp after F. This note is the F sharp, so that would be an F sharp major. If I moved up by another fret, that would be a G major. And we know that we can play a G like this. See how they sound the same? But it gives you extra options. G sharp, up by another fret, A. Up by another fret, A sharp. Up by another fret, B. And it just goes on all the way up. So play along with playing in different positions. Play along with playing it with some standard chords and just jam about with it, see what you can come up with. Let me know how you got on with it, and I'll catch you next time for a minor bar chord.